Hey everyone, I'm Danny and welcome to Wizardry Workshop. Today's video is another collaboration with Raven's Mini here on YouTube. Chantal is awesome. She makes a bunch of really cool stuff, a lot of like miniature Harry Potter inspired and Harry Potter replica type things. So you should definitely check her channel out if you haven't, and that is Raven's Minis. Chantal and I have done a bunch of other collaborations in the past, which have all turned out really cool. So if you're interested in watching those, I've also linked a playlist in the description box to those videos. In this video, we decided to do a book. So we decided on the theme of the book, and that is love spells for the brokenhearted. We called it Desiderium Obscura because Latin. So basically this is sort of the darker side of love and stuff, you know, broken hearts and things like that. We wanted to do something for Valentine's Day. By the way, Valentine's Day is my birthday, but we also wanted to do something kind of dark, I guess. So just sort of came up with the idea of love spells specifically aimed at people who have a broken heart or maybe want vengeance. It's a completely original project. Her video is posting today at the same time mine is posting. I haven't seen what she's done. She hasn't seen what I've done. We just decided to make a book, and that's the theme. As soon as my video's over, I'm gonna head over to her channel and check her video out, so you should join me there. Leave a comment, leave a like on both of our videos if you want to. One thing that I decided to do with mine was make it 100% readable content on the inside. So the first half of it are like love spells, charms, potions and things like that. And then the second half is a book of shadows where if it were your book, you could like make notes inside and say like what spells you did and why. Anyway, that's enough from me. Go ahead and check out the description box below for a list of all the supplies you're gonna need to make this DIY, as well as the free downloadable templates, and let's get started. First, we need to print the templates for the inside of the book. So half of this is filled with love spells as well as revenge spells, charms, you know, just all different kinds of magic. The second half of it is a book of shadows. So whoever's book this is, you could make notes, write down what spell or ritual it is and all the information about it, the moon phase, different magical symbols or runes you might have used while doing this spell. So yeah, it comes out to a little over 200 pages, and it's all fully readable, so you know it's not going to have gibberish inside. Now to trim this down to size, I'm going to be using this for the inner pages. So these lines right here are where it needs to be trimmed. We're going to be doing perfect binding on this because I'm a little lazy and I don't want to sew everything together, and this works perfectly fine. We want to stack all of this up with this cut guide on top, and then we're going to clamp some paper clamps down on the right edge. And now we're ready to trim this line. So the line where the spine is going to be. That's all we need to trim at this point, and then we're going to start the perfect binding process. For this, I'll be using my heavy-duty HFS paper cutter. This thing can cut through all of this all at once, even more. I could probably do another stack this high. If you do a lot of cutting large stacks of paper or large quantities of paper, I definitely recommend getting yourself one of these. It is well worth it. I use it pretty much every day for my Etsy shop. So now you're gonna see it's gonna cut straight through this whole thick bit of paper here, just like butter. So here we go. And there it is, cut straight through all of that. Oh, I messed my measurements up a little bit, but you know, that's such a small amount, it's not really gonna matter too much. And here is that straight edge of paper we just cut. You will need a book press or do what I do. I just have a couple of boards and 4 of these big clamps. We are going to be gluing this, and you don't want to get the glue on the wood. You don't want to accidentally glue the pages to the wood. You don't want rips or anything. You could use parchment paper or baking paper, but I'm just using the backs of these shipping labels because I ship a lot of stuff out for Etsy, and so I always have this leftover stuff, and it's perfect because the glue won't really like stick to it. So I'm just going to take it, line the spine up right there. Then I can take these clamps off. Be very careful not to mess up the pages at this point. I'll put another sheet of this non-stick paper right there. And then the other piece of wood will go right on top of that. I'm going to fold these non-stick pieces around and glue or tape them because I want to make sure that they stay out of the way as I work. And this is the harder part. This is where a good book press might come in handy. You want to keep those pages nice and straight in there as you are like moving things around. What I do is I'll pick this up and I'll just kind of flatten these pages out right here on the table. Now it's just a matter of putting the clamps on here. You want to do one clamp at every corner. We're just clamping the corners of the pages. And when you're done, it should just look like this. And we have access to this spine right here. For this, we want to use a PVA adhesive. So that's what I have here. This stuff is really good. I got it on Amazon. I'll link it in the description box. It has lasted me a couple of years at least. It's literally just a thin coat of glue. Now, once the whole thing is nicely coated, we're just going to let this dry for a little while. I'm thinking maybe about 15-20 minutes. Then we'll come in and do the next coat. And you're going to want to do at least 3 coats. I'm going to do 4 just to be sure. I've finished putting the final coat on here, so there are 4 layers. I've also moved these off to the side here so that I can get to the spine because we're not quite done yet. I want this to have a ribbon bookmark. I bought this ribbon in October, and I think it's going to make a really cool bookmark. It has the phases of the moon on it. The end I'm not gluing into the spine. I am going to cut at an angle. The other end of the ribbon is going to get glued to the top of the spine. You can see where the print starts right here, and then we're going to trim down, I think about a 1/4 of an inch is what I had. We'll put a little glue on first, like this, and then put the ribbon into that glue, and then we can put glue on top of that. Now we wait for that to dry. Now we can go ahead and start working on the cover. So here is the cover design. It is printed on 11 by 17 paper. If you want to have this printed somewhere at Staples, or they have a self-serve printing. Anyways, so the background texture is printed on an inkjet printer, okay? And that's very important. Then the black is printed on top of it using a laser printer because we're going to do some foiling. And what happens is the foil, the way this machine works, is it will heat up this black toner and the foil will stick wherever that black toner is. So it's very important that anything you do not want to be foiled is printed with ink, and anything you do want to be foiled is printed with a laser printer. If you're not going to foil this, you don't have to worry about all that. I have a file where the hearts are red. This heart and that heart is red and the rest is black. And it looks really cool, so you can use that one instead. If you are gonna foil though, this is what the foil file looks like. So I've got it on a light table. And now I'm just taking a piece of blank 11 by 17 paper and putting it right on top. I don't want all this to be foiled. I think it looks good black, and that's how I kind of intended it to be. All I want to foil is this heart and that heart on the spine. So I'm gonna mask everything else out with this paper using my light table. So all I'm gonna do is draw a square around this heart and then draw around this heart as best as I can. Cut those shapes out that we drew. Now, if we overlay that mask on top of our book cover, you can see, all we can see are these 2 hearts. That's what I'm doing because that's all I'm foiling. Now, you might be asking, why didn't I just print this black with my inkjet and then I wouldn't have to do the mask? Well, as you can see, the toner has a shine to it, which makes it look pretty cool. And also, the contrast is a lot better on a laser printer. The black is going to be a lot darker and nicer looking. So that's why I did that. Put my book cover in this plastic folder and then put my mask onto that. And I'm going to use red foil for the heart. So all I need to do from there is put red foil on the spots where I want it. Close the whole thing up, and then we run it through the Mink foiling machine. If you don't have one and you like to, if you like the way foiling looks, you've got to get one of these. And when it comes out, we can just remove the foil off the top, and we should see a nice foiled heart under each one of these. When it's done, it looks like this. I think that's all it needs. I like the black and red. If I had tried to foil all this, it probably would have just been too much, too flashy. This is supposed to be a dark book anyway, so I thought just the one heart really works. We can go ahead and just trim off all the white from around the edges. Now you should be at this point with your book cover. We can head back to our actual text block. Let's go ahead and take it out of the book press. We need to safely remove this paper without damaging the spine. We can just take it and carefully pull away. You will probably have some extra glue on the outside. Trim off what you don't need very carefully and always cut away from yourself. Now that I think of it, I could have waited until now to put this on because we do have to trim here and here, but that's fine. It's out of the way. But yeah, could have waited for that. I swear that's the easiest way to bind a book. Just perfect binding. It's time to trim the top and bottom of this down now. So if you did do the ribbon early like I did, make sure it's out of the way. And we should be here. I've trimmed off the top and the bottom. The last part that we have to cut is this edge, but since I did cut this down a little bit too much, I'm gonna wait and measure this out when I have the book cover size done, and then I'm gonna cut that last. Now we are gonna do a little more work on the spine, and so I have this fabric, and I'm sure you're wondering what the heck I'm doing right now, but I got it for 99 cents at Goodwill. It's just a pillowcase. You could use any fabric, but I got this specific fabric because I liked the color. I thought it would fit well with this. And there's also this stitching around the top, and that is really what I'm after. Measure your spine. It should be just under a ½ an inch wide. What we want are 2 pieces of this fabric, including the stitching, that are just as wide as the spine. So I have these 2 little pieces now. If you have a hardback book, you can take a look. They all include this pretty much, but it's just there really to hide the binding of the spine. It's gonna make the book look a lot cleaner and professional. So yeah, I'm gonna be just gluing this in right there on the top and the bottom. Make sure that the stitching part is what's visible over here, and the rest of the cloth can get folded over and down onto the spine. I'm gonna put a little bit of the PVA glue right there. Then I'm gonna put some on this short flap of this cloth right here. And that is going to go right at the top or bottom of the book spine. Just making sure that the threading is visible as I fold it back over on itself. So here we are. Now we are going to put some glue on the inside part right here and then fold this over and glue that in. So it should just look like that, just a little bit of that threading visible right there, hiding the binding in there. And I'm gonna add more glue here while I'm at it. You can never really do too much. It's just gonna help it stay together. When we move on and do this other side, it's gonna go on top of the ribbon. I'm going to put some glue on top of that. We're gonna do the exact same thing we did on the other side, only this time it's on top of a ribbon. So on the top, it looks like this, and on the bottom, it looks like that. And we can go back to our book cover while this is drying. So obviously we need the book cover to be sturdy. So I'm gonna use this binder, and this was actually just sitting out for free at a hand-me-down shop, and I'm going to gut this out and take the hard parts for the spine and the covers. And you can see where this is going. This is going to be a nice way to make the book cover. And yes, I also have a print for this. And now that I got to thinking about it, I should have actually printed that on the back of the book cover. It's too late for me to do it now. I've already foiled the thing. If that were printed on the back, it would help you with like where you're supposed to place everything. I made a mistake. I should not have trimmed off that white space from around the edges of the book cover earlier. I probably should have actually had more of this print come off, and I will fix the templates. But I went ahead and used a light table to sort of trace this on the back so that I'd know where to put the cover pieces. And there's only like less than 1/4 of an inch to like wrap into the book. So this is going to be interesting. We should have like at least a 1/2 inch all the way around. An inch would even be better. I could glue some strips of paper onto this to extend it a little bit. That way we can actually get it folded on. I think that's what I'm going to do. In any case, we can use this at least for our measurements. So I'm lining this up with the outside line next to the spine, not the inside line, the outside line. And I will make a mark on this side where it's supposed to be cut, and then line it up with the top as well. Put a line here. I'm going to line it up with the bottom line now and make my mark here. Line it up with the top again, and then we're going to make a mark right down here. If we take our ruler and connect those marks that we made. So now we need 2 of these for the front and back cover, so we'll cut that out. I went ahead and cut the bottom off of this piece because I will cut this down to the size of the spine. We'll want to line that up with the outside. Now we want to line this side up with the inside line of the spine, not that outside line. And we'll mark on the other side. And then we'll do that over here too. And again, just cut with the ruler and X-Acto knife. And now I can use the one that I already cut out to measure the other side. Now the idea here is to glue this onto the inside of the book cover. So this cover will go here, the spine will go in the center, and then the other side will get this cover, just like that. Okay, I was able to save this by just cutting this middle part out and gluing this around this as a frame, and now it works even better because I see exactly where I'm supposed to put these pieces. I don't want any of that white to show, so I'm just going to take a Sharpie and kind of like go around the edge just in case some of that white shows. I would rather black show. There, you won't have to do this because I'm going to fix the template before I give it to you. Okay, so this is exactly how we would be gluing it in. I also want to make sure that the book fits as it should, and it does. I can go ahead and cut this line. I just wanted to make sure that I didn't have to move it over a little bit. But let's go ahead and glue this in now. I don't want any wrinkles in the paper, and I'm worried that the PVA glue will cause some wrinkles in the paper. So I'm going to use a glue stick to do this. And we just line it up with the template on the reverse side and smooth it down. Flip it over and double check. Make sure that you work out any wrinkles on this other side. Now we can fold these inside parts over and in. First we want to cut at an angle the corners off, leaving just a tiny bit there, but not completely touching the cardboard, but close. And we just want to do that on all of these edges. Use the glue stick and very carefully fold it up as tight as you can against the cover and then over. And go ahead and repeat that process all the way around the book. Okay, so here we go. We should be here. That's looking pretty good. I thought that the disaster had struck, but it's actually looking decent. All right, so we have the text block trimmed down. Now it's safe to remove this top page. That was just our cut guide, so you can pull that one off and toss it. Now there is one more thing that we need to do to the spine. Now that these parts are dry, we need some bookbinding cloth. You could try other types of cloth, but I really think it's necessary because this is going to hold it together a lot better. So all we're really doing is we need a piece that is not quite as tall as the book. It doesn't have to be like end to end. This is totally fine. And then we're going to wrap it over, and then we're going to glue it onto the spine. Not onto the pages, just onto the spine. We will use the PVA glue again. We're just gonna put a good layer of glue like we have done earlier. And now we can put the binding cloth on top of that. And then we want more glue on top of the cloth. And that should be good right there. All we have to do now is, again, let it dry. And the very last print we have to deal with is the end papers. This was hand marbled by me. I'm not gonna show you how to marble paper in this video, but if you'd like to know, I do have a tutorial for that, and I'll link it in the description box. You're gonna want 2 of these, one to go in the front of the book and one to go in the back of the book. And we're just going to take it and fold it in half. We're not gonna do any trimming down yet. We're just gonna get them ready. Now with the cover completely dry and with the spine of the book that we just put the cloth on completely dry, we can start attaching this text block to the book. So just line it up right in the center of that cardboard spine that we made. It's got to stand up for this, so just find something heavy. I've got this Mod Podge. I'm just going to put it right here and let the pages kind of rest on the Mod Podge bottle. If yours are coming apart and you need to keep them together so they don't do that, there we go, just put a clamp on it. And then what we need to do is glue this cloth to the cardboard of the cover. Also, just a note, but keep in mind, if you are planning on making your cover waterproof, if you're gonna like spray it with anything or coat it with anything, you wanna do that now before you attach the text block. As it is right now, it was printed with an inkjet printer, so if it gets wet, it's going to be destroyed. But I'm not planning on getting my book wet ever. It's just gonna sit up on my shelf. Anyway, so we take some PVA glue just like before, and then we're just gonna put some glue under. Just a thin layer should do. And then press it down onto there and put some glue on the top as well. Now we do have to wait for that to fully dry before we do the other side. So I went ahead and did both sides. So this side's 100% dry. That side is still a little bit wet, but that's okay. We're gonna just let it sit there and dry a little bit more. And while we wait, we can start the end paper. So the end paper is gonna go on the end of the book and the beginning of the book. We just need to trim this down so it is the right size to fit in here. Mark the top and the bottom of the text block. And if you need to measure how far in that is, it's about 1 inch. You could measure it out and do all that if you want, but I believe in myself and I think I'm gonna be able to line this up on my cutting mat and cut pretty much a straight line all the way across. Now that should be pretty accurate, pretty close to where it should be. All right, so I have made my marks on that side. Now I can trim that down. So after measuring and trimming this side, I'm gonna leave this side open still because I'm gonna trim that down after I have finished gluing this in. I wanna make sure that's right. We are going to glue this down on the inside of the book now. Once you have glue all over that side, I'm going to line it up and press it down. And now the other side is pretty much dry. It's dry enough we can keep going. So I need to take the clamp off of this because this page is going to glue over on to this last page right here. And then I'm going to trim it to fit that page. Open the book up pretty wide at this point, and then just gently roll or like smooth this on to that page. And it's, man, mine's not perfect, but that's okay. This is still going to look good. And then close the book up. To do this, I am going to grab a piece of chipboard or cardboard to put underneath so that I can use my ruler and not my ruler, but my X-Acto knife here and not accidentally cut into the book. When I pull this away, it should be just like that. So that is our end paper in the back of the book. Now we're just going to do the same thing on this side. All right, so I have now finished both sides with the end paper, so we can safely close the book up. And I am going to press this overnight because I want to make sure that it doesn't warp if the glue's still wet. You know, the cardboard might get funky and I want it to stay flat. So I'm going to put it in the book press overnight and then we are done. After letting it sit overnight, we can finally take it out of the book press. And there is the final product. Let's take a quick look inside the book. I really like that ribbon bookmark with the moon phases on it. That's so cool. I'm glad that I found that. There's a better look at those red pieces of fabric that we put at the top of the spine. It really hides the actual binding part right there. We might be able to see some glue without that there. And it makes it look just a little more professional having those in there. And I think red really worked really well with this book in particular. I think this turned out really cool. I love the colors and just that little flash of red foil, nothing too in your face. And I really love this ribbon. The interior is also really cool. It just looks like an old spell book. Let me know what you guys thought of Desiderium Obscura. For those of you who want a paperback version, it's smaller and it is a paperback version of this. It has all the spells inside and the same design and everything, no foil on it. But these paperback versions of this book are now available on my Etsy shop. So if you would like to pick one up, they're over there. I've also restocked some other things. So just thought I'd let you guys know that that's going on. If you made it all the way to the end of the video with me, you're a Wizard Harry. Give it a thumbs up down below if you did like the video. Subscribe if you're not subscribed for more Harry Potter content and other DIYs. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a very, very happy Valentine's Day, and I'll see you in the next video.